One Piece episode 1140 has arrived, where we get to know Bonnie turns Kuma's clones against the Marines, Luffy's back in Gear 5th Wrecking Shop, and the giant warrior pirates crash the party, but Saturn stabs Vegapunk. Watch till the end to find out if the old man survives. The episode kicks off in the most unexpected place imaginable, Fuchsia Village, East Blue, Luffy's freaking hometown, 3 years ago from the present. Kuma, now an official warlord of the sea, and already partially a cyborg, is secretly observing a 16-year-old Luffy training in the forest of Mount Kalubo. We see Luffy practicing his Gomu Gomu, no battle axe. Yeah, the same epic finishing move he later uses to absolutely demolish Arlong, pulverizing massive rocks and sending the local wildlife, including a tiger and a crocodile, running for their lives in terror. As Kuma watches, a flashbackception hits, a flashback inside the flashback. He recalls a trip to this same Goa kingdom with the Revolutionary Army. He remembers noting Dragon's weird familiarity with the island and speaking up, "Commander, when I went to stretch my legs earlier, I found a remote village on the outskirts. There was a young boy there," and Dragon, his face turning to stone, cuts him off with a chilling threat. "If you keep talking about this, you may as well kill me yourself." Kuma, completely confused, asks what he meant. Dragon's expression gets even darker. A child is the parent's weakness. In that instant, Kuma, now a father himself, immediately realized the weight of what Dragon was admitting. He apologized. "I'm sorry. I'll forget what I saw." This is an insane, rare look into Dragon's own sacrifice. The goat putting an emotional ocean between himself and Luffy to protect him, to the point where Luffy didn't even know he had a dad. Back in the present of the flashback, Luffy is hyped about his own training. He retracts his leg, shouting, "I gotta be ready for when someone tries to take my crew away. I won't let it happen. But if anyone tries, I will give them a battle axe to the face." His proclamation sends that alligator and tiger scurrying away again, but Luffy, ever the goofball, promises not to eat them. Suddenly, Kuma's Den Den Mushi rings. The sound distracts Luffy for a split second, and in that instant, Kuma teleports away, vanishing without a trace. Perplexed, Luffy looks around, his innate haki picking up the lingering presence. "That's weird. What was that feeling just now? It gave me the chills. I bet there's still some tough opponent around here. I got to beat them all before I set sail." He got totally baited by Kuma's presence. The scene shifts to Kuma out at sea. His orders from the Navy crackle over the line. Kill off scum pirates who are raiding a nearby merchant ship. But Kuma, ever the saint, just cuts off communication. Does he go obliterate the pirates? No. He prioritizes saving the merchants who need hospital care. After taking them to safety, he tracks down the pirate vessel. And does he attack? No. He just tells them to surrender. Seeing the living legend that is Kuma, they quickly stop and return everything they stole, screaming, "It ain't worth our lives." At sundown, Kuma sits down to compose another beautiful, heartbreaking letter for Bonnie. "Dear Bonnie," it begins, "the world is full of beauty that can't be captured in photos or picture books. I long to see your bright smiling face as you experience such wonders for yourself." Early morning in Sorbet Kingdom, Bonnie is anxiously waiting for the letters her father promised her. Tutsu and Potato, her loyal friends, try to reassure her that her dad is just a very busy man, but Bonnie keeps complaining. Granny Connie steps in, gently telling her that one of these days the news coup will deliver the letters. And on that same morning, a news coup arrives. Alpha, the Sea Pete witch in disguise, receives a newspaper and a letter. She hands the newspaper to one of her agents to deliver, while viciously tearing Kuma's letter to pieces. She complains about Kuma's sheer resilience, sending 10 letters a month for the past 10 months straight. The new letter she just shredded said, "One last thing, Bonnie. You're probably sick of me saying this, but I love you so much. I'll be sure to write again soon." The level of cruelty is unreal. This woman is pure evil. But thankfully, we know Bonnie eventually gets to read these letters through Kuma's memories, probably learning about her mother for the first time in the process. The scene shifts. Bonnie has buffed herself up with her Toshi, no me powers, looking like a little bodybuilder, and is pressuring Gyogyo to have a training session. He insists she take her medication first. Suddenly, Alpha barges in. She thinks her eyes are playing tricks on her because she swears she saw buff Bonnie, who has now instantly reverted to a child. Shaking it off, Alpha sits Bonnie down and gives her the medication, which is just a horrible tasting placebo, a sadistic little game for her. Later, Gyogyo asks Granny Connie why they're hiding Bonnie's abilities from the medical team. Granny, ever wise, replies, "It's for Bonnie's safety. A smart hawk must always hide its claws." Meanwhile, back at Navy Science Division Lab 8 on Egghead, Dr. Vegapunk has been congratulated by Stussy. He's made effective progress. His large head has been cut off and replaced with that signal-detecting apple. Stussy, hearing that Kuma is going to lose his personality, muses, "I wonder who's in bondage, a clone with free will or a human that lacks it." But Vegapunk, ever the moral center here, stops her. "Stussy, you're just as human as the rest of us." Kuma then asks Vegapunk what it truly means to lose his personality. Vegapunk lays it out cold. "Up to this moment, decisions have been yours to command, but after this, they're not. If you were asked to kill a child, you would do it in a heartbeat. All your memories and empathy as a human will be wiped out." Vegapunk continues, explaining that Kuma has one more year before his personality is completely and irrevocably erased. Preparing another letter, Kuma responds that he will keep on writing letters for Bonnie till his time runs out. This raw paternal devotion catches Stussy's emotions. They talk about Bonnie, who is now almost 9 years old. The pure sentiment of it all even puts a genuine sweet smile on Stussy's face, a rare sight. Finally, it's Bonnie's 9th birthday. Everyone celebrates. Granny Connie prepares an extra large pizza for her. They drink and eat until they all fall asleep. Waking up in the dead of night, Bonnie sneaks out to check the mailbox. Still, there are no letters. Sitting down, sobbing, she weeps, "Daddy, I'm 9 now. You said you'll write me a letter," and she continued to cry even more. This scene is absolutely gut-wrenching. And so, another half a year passed without a single letter reaching the church. Back at the Revolutionary Army headquarters, calls kept coming in. Reports that Kuma, out of nowhere, saved them again when everything was going sideways, only to disappear right after. Dragon, observing this, told the soldiers, "Do not go after Kuma. He must have had a reason for his action." Respecting his friend's impossible situation, back in Sorbet, Bonnie rejoices. Her sickness is now cured. She proudly points to her face, showing that her stones are gone, so she insists on going outside. But Alpha stops her, coldly claiming that she has orders to keep Bonnie inside and supervised until her 10th birthday. Bonnie refuses, calling her a liar. Vegapunk said, "I would be fine after a year. That time has passed." Later, back at the church, Granny Connie revealed a shocking truth. She learned from a drunk agent in town. Alpha and her medical team are all government agents. This shocked everyone. She continued, "Bonnie has already been cured. There must be a reason why they're keeping a perfectly healthy girl from going outside. And it's hard to believe that Kuma didn't send a single letter." Bonnie responded, nodding her head furiously, "Yeah." So, Granny Connie instructed Bonnie to head for the port with Yo-Yo and the others. "Go find Kuma," she urged. Bonnie then transformed into Granny Connie and coolly walks out of the church compound with Alpha's permission, remembering that Yo-Yo and the rest aren't just average fishermen, they are strong. Bonnie, back in her child form, kept on walking as she observed the outside world for the first time. The grass, the beautiful sky with the sun in it. The elders, watching from the church, were amazed and called it a miracle. Finally getting to the port, Bonnie reverted back to her child self as she dashed for the ship, waiting for her with Yo-Yo and the others, screaming in excitement. Checking up on Bonnie, Alpha found out that Granny Connie is still inside the church. Pissed, she lashed out in anger, looking deceived and dumb. Bonnie set sail as Yo-Yo, and the others revealed that they made the ship look like her favorite food, pizza, a callback to what she ate on Egghead. Suddenly, Alpha appeared within range, looking furious like a tiger. She shouted in rage, "You think you can get away from me? I'll beat you to near death and lock you up day and night." Swiftly, she flew up and started skywalking using Jeppo, shocking everybody. Recalling a flashback where Kuma told her that Nika's body was rubbery and there was no limit to his power, Bonnie jumped out of the ship with utter boldness, looking fierce and buff, shocking everyone. She shouted, "Distorted future. Give me a Nika-ish future." Suddenly, a giant cartoony fist, just like Luffy's Gear 5, appeared. It pounded Alpha to a pulp, causing her to cough up blood with an outmatched defeat as she fell to the sea, drowning. Her new crew celebrated with unrestrained joy as the Bonnie Pirates, soon to be famous pirates of the new era, known for their strength and agility, were officially born. The world would soon learn that their hostage, Bonnie, had escaped. What an episode! The emotional highs and lows, Bonnie's escape, her Nika punch. This flashback arc has delivered some of the most complex, heartbreaking, and hype-inducing moments in the entire series. The stage is set. The story kicks off with Bonnie and her newly formed Bonnie Pirates sailing hard, hunting for her father. But this isn't a simple chase, it's a heartbreaker. Kuma is always just one step ahead. He'll be on an island, he'll even overhear his own daughter calling for him, but he knows he can't make contact. He can't go to her, not for his own sake, but for hers. So every time they arrive, he's already gone, zapped away by his pawpaw fruit, leaving Bonnie just short. It's this twisted cycle. And to make it crazier, the Marines are painting the Bonnie Pirates as this truly evil crew because every town they visit is left with injured kids and old folks. The reality? It's just Marines that Bonnie aged up or down with her powers, but the propaganda machine is in full effect. Meanwhile, Bonnie is putting on a brave face, rocking lipstick, and an anti-eyebrow where her scales used to be, trying to look like a grown-up and make a name for herself, hoping her dad will finally see her. She even tells her crew they're going to find Nika too, just imagining how happy it would make Kuma. Then we get thrown back in time, all the way to the East Blue, right after Luffy smoked Arlong and got his first 30 million berry bounty. The news hits the world like a tidal wave. We see Ace telling Jinbei, and my man is genuinely shocked that this kid took down Arlong. We see Sabo questioning Dragon about heading to Logtown, which finally explains why Dragon just so happened to be there to save Luffy from Smoker. And Kuma? He sees that legendary bounty poster, a small smile creeping onto his face as he connects the dots. This is Dragon's son. He quietly muses to himself that both of their kids have become pirates, and you can tell he's already rooting for this rubber kid who's about to shake up the entire world. The timeline jumps forward. Kuma is on Egghead, visiting Vegapunk. He sees the army of pacifista clones, these carbon copies of himself, and straight up says it's unsettling. Vegapunk just assures him their creation is going smoothly. And then Kuma drops the bombshell. He tells Vegapunk that Luffy, the kid who declared war on the entire world government back at Enies Lobby, is Dragon's son. Vegapunk is floored, he can't believe it. Kuma explains he couldn't hide it anyway since he promised to give Vegapunk all his memories, but the connection is what's blowing his mind. He says a boy with rubber powers going toe-to-toe with the government like this? It feels just like the legend of Nika. Cut to Thriller Bark. We're seeing the fight against Gecko Moria entirely from Kuma's perspective. He's there, quietly analyzing the Straw Hats, impressed by their insane resolve and teamwork. He sees their loyalty firsthand, especially after Moria goes down, and it's why he ultimately chooses to leave Luffy be. But just as he's processing this, the Denden Mushi rings. It's a call from the world government. The order is simple and world-changing. Prepare for war against Whitebeard. The Paramount War is officially on the horizon. Then we hit Sabaudi Archipelago, and the fields get cranked to 11. Kuma's there, but he's hiding outside a restaurant. Through the window, he catches a glimpse of Bonnie, just eating and living her life. A smile crosses his face, seeing how strong she's become, but it's drenched in pain because he says to himself, this is it. This is the last time he will ever see her face before his mind is gone for good. And just then, word spreads like fire. Someone just punched a celestial dragon at the human auctioning house. Kuma is shocked, not just that someone dared, but that they did it this close to Marine headquarters. He warps to the roof instantly to see who it was and is absolutely floored. It was Luffy, and he did it to protect Hachi, a fishman. Kuma can't believe it, calling it a rebellious act nobody has been able to pull off for centuries. Later, when he confronts the Straw Hats and begins to separate them, we finally get his internal monologue. As Luffy is screaming that he couldn't save a single one of his friends, Kuma is thinking that's not true at all. You all just aren't ready for the new world yet. He's apologizing in his mind to Dragon and Ivankov, feeling like this is his own quiet way to leave a mark on the world through Luffy and Bonnie. He's not destroying them, he's saving them. He knows they need to get stronger, because in his heart, he declares Luffy to be the one who will someday save the world. And here's where it all goes dark. Back on Egghead, Vegapunk is outraged when Saturn orders him to install an additional self-destruct mechanism in Kuma, a failsafe in case he ever goes rogue outside the Five Elders' presence. Vegapunk is practically begging, trying to negotiate, even suggesting one of his inventions that could create a split personality, anything to preserve a sliver of Kuma's ego so he could reunite with his daughter someday. But Saturn is ice cold. He reveals he's also a scientist, the warrior god of science and defense, and flatly tells Vegapunk, "It's useless that you try to lie to me." He orders that Kuma's free will must be completely erased, even threatening Vegapunk if he disobeys. And the gut punch? Kuma, with his superhuman hearing that Vegapunk himself designed, heard every single word. He calmly says it was good to know how Vegapunk felt, shocking the genius who had no idea the warlord was listening. In the final moments before the operation, Kuma is calm. He thanks Vegapunk for being so concerned for him and asks for one last favor, a compromise. Program him to protect the Straw Hat's ship, the Thousand Sunny, after the war with Whitebeard ends, until one of them returns. Vegapunk, confused, asks why he has so much faith in Luffy. Kuma's answer is everything. He says he knows Nika is just a legend, but he promised Bonnie that one day a warrior of liberation would come for her. And Luffy's actions, his raw defiance, it moves him. He believes this kid is the one who will change the seas. Hold up if Bonnie's desperate chase and Kuma's soul-shattering sacrifice got you in your feels? Smash that subscribe button to stay locked in. Drop a like too. It gets this recap to more One Piece fans. Let's get back to the pain. Before the procedure, Kuma agrees to push out his memories for Vegapunk to study. He creates this glowing orb, explaining it's a copy of his memories, but it has one critical weakness. It will vanish the moment someone touches it. As he does this, Kuma's entire life flashes before his eyes. His father, his mother, Ivankov, Ginny, and Bonnie. He wonders if his actions caused anyone harm, but a weeping Vegapunk tells him the truth. Your life didn't trouble anyone, but your death will hurt all who love you. You are a hero. With tears streaming down his face, Vegapunk pulls the machine's lever. As scientists and Sentomaru salute in respect, rays of light blast out from the island, just like at the church in Kuma's youth. His consciousness is erased. And just before it's all gone, Kuma thanks Vegapunk for saving Bonnie's life, and asks him to pass on one final message if he ever sees her. Happy 10th birthday, Bonnie! We flash back to the present, to the Niku Niku room on Egghead Island. The glowing sphere of memories is gone, and on the floor, Jewelry Bonnie is completely broken, crying her eyes out. She touched the bubble. She saw everything, and in seeking the truth about her father's life, she inadvertently triggered the final disappearance of his memories. He's not coming back. The Labostratum doors slide open, and the second Bonnie steps out. Vegapunk is there, his face just etched with pure regret. He asks her, did she see everything? And Bonnie, snot dripping from her nose, just barely manages to confirm it before something inside her completely shatters. Vegapunk starts to apologize, knowing he just broke his sacred promise to his friend. But before he can even get the words out, Bonnie shrinks down to her true child form, rushes forward, and throws her arms around him, crying and apologizing to the very scientist who showed her the truth. She gets it now. She knows who the real villain has been this entire time. Once they've calmed down, Vegapunk decides it's finally time. The cat's out of the bag, and he has something for a hair gift from her father. Kuma planned to give it to her for her 10th birthday, and as he reveals it, Bonnie's face completely lights up. It's a breathtaking sapphire necklace, shaped perfectly like the sun, an undeniable symbol of her bond with Nika, with Luffy, a mirror of the symbol from their little church. Kuma told Vegapunk it was meant to be a protective charm, and Bonnie, holding it, vows to cherish it forever. Vegapunk just marvels at how much she's grown in only 2 years, which immediately gets Bonnie thinking about Luffy. She knows from the memories. He's Dragon's son, her dad's old friend. Vegapunk confirms it, admitting he was stunned to see them arrive on Egghead together, chalking it all up to the undeniable, almost scientific force of fate in their world. He quickly explains that a whole war has basically broken out while she was inside the memory bubble, that the Straw Hats are currently saving his life, and he promises he'll tell her every last detail once they regroup. He apologizes again, sure that she must see him as just a worthless, spineless scientist for hire, but Bonnie cuts him right off. It was never his fault. All of it, every last drop of suffering. The blame falls squarely on one man. And in the present, that very man, St. J. Garcia Saturn, holds her suspended in the air, his voice dripping with pure ice as he delivers the coldest line imaginable. Your father, Kuma, is dead. All around them, Sanji, Frankie, Vegapunk himself, they're all completely locked down, unable to move an inch thanks to some kind of busted paralysis ability. Luffy, completely gassed and half-conscious from fighting Kizaru, is shriveled up, desperately begging for food. Even Atlas is tweaking out, saying she'd give him some grub if only her body would respond. Nearby, Sentomaru has been captured by the Marines, and Kizaru can only watch in silence, his face a mask of gut-wrenching conflict as he sees two of the kids he cares about, Bonnie and Sentomaru, facing their absolute doom. This ain't some backwater skirmish anymore, dude. News is blasting across the globe about the siege on Egghead, an event that people are already saying will be on an even bigger scale than what happened at Ohara. While the world prays for the ever-charitable doctor, on Momwaro Island, Dragon asks Eva a critical question. If there is even a fragment of Kuma's instinct left in that shell, where would it take him? Iva figures it's gotta be Mary Jiwas for revenge, but Dragon knows his friend better. Kuma was just a different kind of guy. Back on Egghead, Bonnie makes her stand. If she's going to die here, she is damn well taking Saturn with her. Screaming Nika's name, she unleashes her distorted future. Nika Mitena Mirai, winding up a colossal, stretchy fist to smash his face into paste, but her punch just ricochets. It does absolutely nothing. A truly incredible display of Saturn's defensive power. Her giant fist evaporates, she goes weak, and Saturn crushes her even tighter in his hand. He's not surprised she knows the name Nika, being Kuma's daughter, but it's painfully obvious her understanding is flawed. He's thinking to himself that she still hasn't connected the dots between Luffy's ridiculous white form and the actual warrior of liberation. And then, a sound cuts through the thick, terrifying tension. Chomp, chomp, chomp! And I swear to God, Saturn must be having Void Century War flashbacks, because he starts to absolutely panic. It's Luffy. Someone got him food, and he is inhaling it, powering back up. Saturn is losing it. Who gave him that food? Put sea stone cuffs on him immediately. The Marines scramble, but it's clear his paralysis trick might not even work on Luffy. We see Kizaru, hunched over, silent. Bro, this is it. This is the full-blown face turn. There is no other explanation. Kizaru, the man who did the Nika shuffle in the flashback, just gave Luffy his cheat code meal. You can't dance to the drums of liberation and go back to being a cog in the machine. Bonnie, still trapped, is wondering why her powers aren't working, why she can't even alter Saturn's age. And that's when Saturn decides to unleash the cruelest, most soul-destroying truth bombs in history. He reveals that he was the one who gave her the Toshinomi's power. They conducted an experiment on her as a baby, giving her devil fruit abilities through an extract engine, bypassing the need to eat the fruit. And while the experiment worked, the fruit itself is now useless. He then cruelly explains her own powers back to her. She can only transform into a future she genuinely believes is possible. Her knowledge is now her cage. As he mocks her for believing in a Santa Claus myth like Nika, she screams that he is real, that she swore she would find him to save her father. But Saturn just scoffs, saying her sudden weakness is proof that her own doubt is killing her powers. He calls Nika a worthless buccaneer legend, and then he delivers the final, horrifying blows. He reveals her mother, Ginny, was taken to the Holy Land to become wife number 8, and it's heavily implied he means his 8th wife. He was the one who experimented on Ginny with drugs, a failed experiment that gave her the sapphire scale disease, a condition he was surprised to see Bonnie inherit. It all comes crashing down. Kuma's entire life, his entire sacrifice, was to save Bonnie from a disease that Saturn himself created. The man is pure evil, the Griffith to Kuma's guts. Vegapunk is absolutely livid, screaming that Saturn's heartless experiments are why Kuma gave up his life. But Saturn just says he cannot comprehend the feelings of a mere insect. Suddenly, a massive thud rocks the island. Kuma has arrived. He's on a warpath. The Marines see the signature palm print on his hand and start screaming that the tyrant has landed on the southwest shore. They unload everything they have, but he just keeps charging forward, soaking up gunfire. Saturn is in disbelief. Vegapunk is confused, but as her father gets riddled with bullets, Bonnie just breaks, thinking she should just die after everything he's gone through for her. She's crying her eyes out when Saturn screams at her to be silent and orders the Marines to shoot her in the head. Pause real quick. If Bonnie's tears and Kuma's badass comeback got you shook, smash that subscribe button to stay in the fight. Drop a like too. It gets this recap to more One Piece fans back to the chaos. Before they can even fire, Kuma unleashes an attack, blowing them all away. Enraged, Saturn throws Bonnie to the ground and raises his huge spider leg, aiming to impale and end her for good. But a paw intercepts the blow. Kuma, her dad, got there just in time, taking the hit directly to his back for her. He holds his daughter close as she cries out to him, but he doesn't respond. He just rips Saturn's blood-soaked leg out of his own flesh, grabs it tight, and raises his other fist, which begins to glow and harden with black armament haki. He is preparing to unleash every ounce of his fatherly rage, and for the first time, we see Saint J. Garcia Saturn look visibly worried. No, terrified. Luffy is about to be back in the game, and the moment Bonnie sees Gear 5 for herself and understands, she is getting a power-up. The madness has only just begun. That's episode 1137, Bonnie's Heartbreak and Kuma's hacky-fueled rage, straight up legendary. If this recap got you hyped, smash that like button and comment 1138 below to spread it to more One Piece fans. It'll get the next one out fast. Subscribe to keep the fire alive, and I'll catch you next time.
The episode explodes into action with Saint Saturn absolutely losing his damn mind, screaming at Vegapunk for an explanation because Bartholomew Kuma should be dead. Saturn is totally bewildered, revealing that just a few days after the Revolutionary Army managed to pull off that insane rescue mission and snag Kuma's body from Mary Geoise, he personally pressed Kuma's self-destruct switch. The plan was cold-blooded and devastating. Let the Revs take Kuma back to their base and then boom, a crippling blow to the enemy forces from within. The fact that this man gets more unlikable with every single scene is a feat in itself, but it didn't work. As Saturn is tweaking out, we flash to Kuma's perspective. Before his fist lands, his entire tragic life scrolls before him. Saturn's cruel ultimatum to live as a slave or die. His father's tears as he explained Kuma's mother was in a better place. Ginny's radiant happiness after their escape from God Valley. Immediately followed by the memory of that Denden Mushi call, telling him she was at death's door, praying in his church with a baby Bonnie in his arms. All of that pain, all of that rage, all of that love culminates in this one moment. And then, in a super epic, glorious, Kuma's massive armament hockey-imbued fist connects, completely crushing Saturn's face. This old man has not felt a hit like this in hundreds of years, and you can see the pure, unadulterated rage on his face, even as he's still conscious and airborne. Welcome back to reality, old man. The sheer force sends him flying across Egghead, his spider legs not enough to keep him standing as he cracks the ground and smashes through multiple buildings, causing the entire skyline to start collapsing on top of him, burying him under hundreds of tons of metal, concrete, and glass debris. The Marines across the island look up, completely shocked and disturbed, because a former slave, a buccaneer, just bodied one of the 5 elders, the highest authority in the entire world government. And as the rubble settles, Kuma simply takes a Kaepernick knee, breathing, having just thrown the biggest wrench imaginable into all the Gorosei Yonko Admiral power scaling debates. The second Saturn is out of the picture. Everyone can move again. The mysterious paralysis is gone. Sanji and Frankie immediately scowl, then sprint towards Bonnie, yelling for her to get up, telling her they have a shot to get to the upper levels of the island and finally escape. But Vegapunk is frozen, his mind racing. He reveals that the self-destruct switch was never a bomb. Bro, he's a genius. He knew a scumbag like Saturn would exploit a kill switch, so he never actually built one. What he installed was a shutdown mechanism, a failsafe designed to completely switch off all of Kuma's functions, his cybernetics, his programming, everything. It should have left him completely unable to move or take any orders, essentially a vegetative state. Yet, here he is. Vegapunk mutters to himself that there's no scientific explanation for this, for how Kuma could still move, how he even knew Bonnie was on Egghead. He starts to form a working theory, speculating that this is proof of the Buccaneers' true special ability, something that goes far beyond their legendary superhuman strength. As Vegapunk ponders this miracle beyond science, Kuma gently reaches down for his crying daughter, holding her in his arms and giving her the biggest hug he can manage. In this moment of peace, Kuma's entire consciousness seems to have been overridden by a force more powerful than programming, a father's love. In the aftermath, the whole battlefield takes a breath. Even Kizaru quietly remarks that everything is over now. Over on the sidelines, Sentomaru, still tied up, spots his old friend Kuma and can't help but smile, a moment of pure relief. Meanwhile, the Marines are in a total panic because Luffy is gone. Right before they could slap the sea stone cuffs on him, he recovered from his feast. They're hesitant to even report it, and you know that's going to bite them hard later. This is Oda, just setting up a classic Goku savior moment for Luffy to swoop in when things are at their absolute worst. But all that battlefield noise fades away for Bonnie. This is it. In what feels narratively like it might be their very last time to talk, she finally gets to tell her dad everything. She puts a hand to his chin, tears in her eyes, and thanks him. She lets him know she saw it all his memories. She knows about her mother, Ginny, and she calls her an amazing woman. She knows about the letters he tried to send that were intercepted, and she says that just knowing he wrote them at all made her happy. Reaching up to hug her dad as tightly as she can, Bonnie is finally at peace. She doesn't care if the world calls Kuma a tyrant. To her, he is kind, the coolest person in the world, and she promises she will never forget that. Just as that heart-wrenching moment sinks in, the skyscraper-sized pile of rubble explodes with crackling haki. Spider legs crash into the ground as Saturn gets back to his feet, and holy hell, he is badly hurt. He's missing his left horn and an entire arm, and his iconic cloud beard is drenched in his own blood. He is seething, screaming at Vegapunk, still demanding an explanation, blaming him entirely. Vegapunk, looking utterly defeated, admits he's partially responsible, but he says it was just as much the power of science as it was the power of love. And this might just be Oda hinting that love is a tangible, powerful force in this world, strong enough to override anything. Saturn just scoffs at this sentimental, woefully human nonsense. And then he does something that completely changes the game. Black flames erupt from his body, and to Sanji's absolute shock, Saturn regenerates his ripped-off arm and his horn completely in seconds. Bro, healing powers like this are exceptionally rare. This just elevated Saturn from a powerful enemy to someone they probably can't kill for good. Enraged, Saturn tries to pierce the now immobile Kuma with one of his massive legs. Bonnie screams for her dad to move, but he can't, and then Sanji's stocks are going to the moon. Our boy is back. He launches into the air, deflecting the massive leg with a perfect kick, declaring that he won't let Saturn hurt Bonnie again, and that's the opening Franky needs. He shouts that they owe Kuma a big favor and charges up his radical beam. He fires it point blank, and we get the most devastating beam of Franky's entire career, piercing straight through Saturn's gut, but it's not that easy. Kizaru, who had been watching, suddenly appears behind Franky. He notes how much the Straw Hats have grown, then kicks Franky away, sending him flying through the Egghead ruins before he can even turn around. Sanji screams for his friend, but it's too late. It's an insane feat for Franky, though the list of people who have fought a CP0 agent, an Admiral, a Yonko, and a Gorosei is ridiculously short, and Franky is now on it. His stocks are higher than Skypia right now. And as Franky flies away, the massive hole in Saturn's gut is already closing up. His regeneration is just that fast. It's clear that unless you're hitting him with a building-shattering Kuma-level punch, nothing else is gonna stick. Bonnie screams to Vegapunk that her father can't move, and Vegapunk orders Atlas to carry Kuma to their meeting point. Atlas just slings Kuma, who looks like an oversized toddler in her arms, which is just peak One Piece size comparison, chaos over her shoulder and bolts. The evacuation is on. But they still have Kizaru and Saturn to deal with. The Admiral tries to act confident, saying it's time to wrap things up, but Vegapunk just looks him dead in the eye and calls him a sad man, asking if he has no heart, if his can withstand doing this much longer. And that line hits home. It visibly rattles Kizaru. He has to fix his glasses, closes his eyes for a second, and delivers one of the smoothest, saddest lines possible. I should have brought a darker pair of shades. He is at his absolute limit. Man, the loyalty is cracking, but just when you think things could not get any worse, just when you think we might see Kizaru switch sides, Saturn escalates this whole thing into the stratosphere with a few magic words. The Buster Call protocol has been authorized. He orders every single Marine ship to take aim and reduce Egghead Island to absolute ashes in the name of justice. Bro, what Spandam did on Eni's lobby as a total accident, Saturn is doing on purpose, purely out of rage. And this is a huge loss for the world government. He came here to protect and acquire punk records, the Mother Flame facilities, and the island's tech. Now he's ordering it all to be destroyed, including the Seraphim, S-Bear, S-Hawk, Shark, and Snake still sitting in the basement. This single order threatens the entire Seraphim project. This is how angry he is with Kuma, Vegapunk, and Luffy.
Episode kicks off with the Buster Call alarm blaring across Egghead. The situation has gone completely off the rails. The Marines, who were trying to be professional before, are now completely unorganized, screaming in fear as they scramble for the harbor. And you can't blame them. The whole island is about to be blown to bits by their own side. Most of these guys don't even know why this has been ordered. They're just grunts following orders, trying to escape the impending doom. Vice Admiral Dahl is trying to get Saturn and Kizaru to clear out too. But Saturn, with the cold confidence of a god, flat out says, "We are going to stay on the island." Even as it's getting blown up, This makes sense for Kizaru. He's a Logia user who can fly with his devil fruit powers, but Saturn? He can heal fast, but he should still sink like a stone if his Gyuki form comes from a devil fruit. Is he expecting Kizaru to carry him off the island, or does he have some kind of reverse summoning or transportation ability we haven't seen yet? Whatever the case, Doll is confused, trying to keep her superiors safe, but Kizaru, all of a sudden acting completely professional and looking totally serious, sternly insists that she go. Doll doesn't argue. This is not a guy open for discussion right now. Dr. Vegapunk is losing his mind. He can't understand why Saturn would order a buster call on Egghead. I get it, you want to kill me? He's probably thinking. But the island? This place is full of cutting-edge scientific research, prototypes, factories. It's a tropical island in the middle of winter. A wonder in itself. Destroying it would hurt the whole world, setting mankind back by an entire century. He's literally begging Saturn to reconsider. He even calls on Kizaru, his old friend, who can't even look him in the eyes anymore. The longer this goes on, clearer it is that Kizaru does not want to be here. But Saturn isn't budging. He throws out some weak excuse. You could still be hiding something that would hurt the world government, and then drops this bomb. Besides, the world doesn't need further advancement. Of course he thinks that. Putting technology and data in the hands of the people makes it harder for an authoritarian government to hold on to power. People can share news without oversight. They can fight back. Vegapunk hangs his head, pleading for his technology, his life's work, the ways it could help humanity. And that reminds Saturn, the old demon spider, he has a story to share, a way to twist the knife even deeper. He knows about the ship Vegapunk used to evacuate the island's researchers yesterday. They were supposed to have gotten out before the marine blockade hit. But Saturn, that bastard, still saw them leave, and he's ordered a warship to split off from the main force, hunt down those innocent civilians, and kill them all. Vegapunk is too shocked to even speak. Saturn digs in. With everything that's happened, it's only natural to guess that some of those people knew about the Void Century. This is just me being cautious. Vegapunk finally finds his words, furious, yelling at Saturn. None of those workers have committed a crime, even by your standards. This is just mass murder. Saturn's orders have made Egghead the most extreme buster call we have ever seen on Ohara. Spandine at least told the innocents to evacuate, but Saturn has gone full scorched earth. He has no interest in leaving even one survivor, and he throws it back in the doctor's face. He's convinced that this was Vegapunk's crime. All their deaths are your fault for breaking the taboo against investigating the Void Century. He sneers, calling Vegapunk's thirst for knowledge greedy. Saturn doesn't even understand a human perspective. He can't comprehend that nothing Vegapunk did was for himself. It was all for his community, for humanity. The Marines are mostly off the island now, the whole lot of them boarding ship after ship. Only the pacifistas are being left behind. Soon, the whole area will be clear, ready for bombardment. But the Straw Hats aren't just sitting back. Frankie, Sanji, Atlas, and unconscious Kuma and Bonnie have reached a vacuum rocket. With all the Marines gone and Saturn busy gloating, there isn't anyone to stop them. Bonnie, though, brings up the one problem with this escape. They've left Vegapunk behind. Sanji gives her his best "don't worry" grin. Splitting their forces isn't great, but Luffy promised to get the old man off the island, and if anyone can save him from Saturn, it would be Sanji. Plus, a woman told him to, so of course he'll pull it off. Once the other four are safely on the rocket, Sanji rushes off, calling up Nami. They're gonna need to coordinate this. Things aren't going great on the lava face. Learning that they're about to be hit by a buster call does not help. Usopp and Chopper panic immediately. Robin's still unconscious, so it's Nami who takes charge and explains things to Sanji. Zoro and Rob Lucci are still fighting, though Jinbei is on his way to break that up. Even if Zoro wins, he'll need someone to guide him back to the ship. But Lilith and Brook have managed a breakthrough. They've got the Sunny running over the cloud layer, bringing it towards the evacuation point. How? By using Brook's soul energy, the chill of the underworld, to freeze the cloud layer. Even with Vegapunk's artificial clouds, they're still clouds. The remaining semi-solid clouds help support the frozen ones, and now the Sunny is gliding over the ground like it's nothing. Very cool stuff. Unfortunately, they hadn't considered one little problem. There's no way to stop the Sunny once it reaches the edge of the Labo phase. You can't anchor in cloud. Unless they come up with something quickly, Brook and Lilith are going to sail the Sunny right over the edge into the Frontier Dome. They'll be blasted, crash down, and leave the Straw Hats stranded. And their time to think is almost up. Most of the Marine ships have left dock, and they've realized the upper layer is still shielded. So, They're going to try and break its protective layer by force. Every last ship starts opening fire on Egghead Island. One ship tries to stop the bombardment. We haven't boarded all our crew yet, but it's no use. The Egghead Buster Call has officially begun. Even the pacifistas join in, using their laser blast to level parts of what used to be a beautiful island. Dr. Vegapunk has to just sit there, watching as everything he built is broken down. This place was the bright, shining future of humanity he always wanted, his dream, and it's all crumbling right in front of him. Buster Call's madness and Kuma's last stand got you hyped. Smash that subscribe button to stay locked in. Drop a like too. It gets this recap to more One Piece fans. Let's jump back into the fire. But it's not enough to stop Atlas and Frankie. The rocket has almost made it up to the Labistratum. Frankie is having a great time, amazed by how fast it goes. But as the capsule turns around one of the few remaining buildings, a massive bright light hits the area ahead of it. Kizaru's sword is literally as fast as a rocket, and he's gone all out this time. He's not just destroying the tube, he's cut the rocket itself in two. Only a blade of light could cut something moving this quickly. Now that it doesn't have a tube to guide it, the broken rocket is flying through the air with nothing to hold the passengers inside. Sanji is furious. Kizaru just attacked a bunch of people who weren't even trying to fight back. He calls out to Bonnie, yelling that he's coming to save her. Saturn sees this as an opportunity for some sick, twisted comedy. He orders the pacifistas to open fire on the people falling from the sky. It's ironic. Kuma, the guy who threw his life away to save Bonnie, is now going to have his clones kill her. The giant robots raise their hands, starting to charge their lasers. But as the pacifistas begin to open fire, the real Kuma, still barely conscious, grabs Bonnie, shielding her with his body. Even when he's about to die, he is going to do everything he can to protect his daughter. And now that he's the biggest target, he might be able to protect Frankie and Atlas too. To Saturn, this whole struggle was the height of folly, a pointless struggle against the inevitable. He really doesn't understand humanity. Vegapunk looks up, helpless. The idea that Bonnie, after everything she's been through, will have to see her father kill her is too much for the old man. He's been worrying about it ever since he learned she became a pirate. Vegapunk knew it was only a matter of time until she ran into one, but there's nothing he can do. The pacifistas just keep charging their hand cannon blasts, not giving up on trying to destroy Kuma and Bonnie. And there are a few more strange things going on as this happens. One remaining squad of the Marines has surrounded the food vending machine. Luffy, our boy, has filled his stomach with food and is just laying there now, a massively contented balloon. He needed the food to recover from using Gear 5 against Kizaru. If they happen to have sea stone cuffs, these guys might have just captured an Emperor of the Sea. But a full Luffy is a dangerous Luffy. I think it's safe to say that our boy is back in the game, but shockingly, there's news from the ship that Saturn sent to kill the Egghead evacuees. They got beaten badly. Their ship has been wrecked, split in two. Given that Saturn called it a warship, that can't have been easy to pull off. One of the last remaining Marines on that ship tries to get a Denden Mushi call through to Kizaru. Whatever did this is, heading for Egghead. The episode starts where the last one ended, with the destruction of Egghead in full swing. The explosions are so intense, so big, that even ships far away can see it, including a new, massive ship that's just now getting close to the Marine blockade. Yeah, that's gotta be the one that wrecked Saturn's refugee hunting ship. Back on the island by the food machine, Luffy has had enough rest. He's done taking in all that food, and he sheds his massive body fat in just a second. The Marines are shocked by how fast he was able to digest it all. One even suggests that Luffy might gobble them up if they get any closer, and he might be onto something. Between Big Mom and Kaido, eating people might just be some sort of Yonko tradition. A cannon blast hits right by the Marines, knocking a member of their squad off his feet. The whole area is almost entirely engulfed in fire thanks to the Buster Call. They need to evacuate, but they've also got to do something with Luffy. They've got one of the most wanted pirates in the world right at their mercy. One Marine tells the others to get this Emperor into sea stone cuffs to make sure he's not a threat, but Luffy is smiling. His hair's changing. He's already back into Gear 5th. As expected, these guys do not have a chance. He blows them away before they can even get close. A full Luffy is a dangerous Luffy. Our boy is back in the game. Meanwhile, the artillery commander is ordering his men to keep firing into the blaze, not stopping until the island is literally broken apart. As Bonnie, Kuma, Frankie, and Atlas are falling through the air after Kizaru wrecked their escape rocket, Vegapunk is trying to process this, but he decides to do something. Using his communicator, Vegapunk calls Atlas. She's still in the air, right by Bonnie and the rest. Saturn tells the pacifistas to fire, and they keep charging their lasers, but the call gets through. Vegapunk feared this moment, the idea that Bonnie, as a pirate, would one day be killed by a pacifista, a clone of her own father. The thought gave him nightmares. It was a cruel, dark joke that he couldn't just let happen. He couldn't openly go against the deal Kuma struck with Saturn, but he snuck one last trick into his work. He risked his life and put a secret program in all the pacifistas based on Kuma. Vegapunk wants Atlas to tell Bonnie a secret that only the Vegapunks know. Sanji, seeing them fall, jumped into the air, trying to do something to help. Atlas reaches Bonnie and tells her the truth. Between the rush of air and the never-ending explosions, no one else could hear what was said. But Bonnie is obviously shocked at this news. She just looks at Atlas, not sure if she can even believe it. So Bonnie yells at them. She calls out to all these copies of her dad, like they're the original, asking him not to shoot. "Daddy, stop! Help us to escape from here!" she cries out. Bonnie looks down, hoping as hard as she can that this crazy idea actually works. The pacifistas don't seem to be listening, just standing there impassively, the light glowing in their hand. The watching Marines can't work out what she's even said over the explosions. But no, the giant cyborgs turn around, pointing their palms right at their Marine allies. It took them a minute to process the order, but they heard Bonnie just fine. Thanks to Bonnie's voice, all pacifistas turn on the Marine. This was a cool twist. Vegapunk put Bonnie on top of the pacifista's authority hierarchy. She's even above the Gorosei's authority. As Vegapunk says, "Even if the world is your enemy, your father will never betray you." This could mean Bonnie is also able to command the Seraphim, since they use a similar command hierarchy. With 4 of them in the basement, the Straw Hats may have some powerful allies waiting. The ground troops are already trembling in fear. All the pacifistas are following this order, even the ones far away. They've clearly got some kind of internal communication system. Bonnie just got an army of her own. This is a massive L for the Marines and the world government. Their attempts to contain Egghead are in shambles, almost entirely because of Vegapunk's betrayal. Saturn, realizing what Vegapunk did, is filled with pure fury, and he immediately stabs Vegapunk with his sharp demonic leg, running the defenseless man completely through. Man, this looks like a fatal wound. The philanthropist who gave the world government so much might just die because one of its leaders threw a temper tantrum. Vegapunk sputters, gasping for breath. Bonnie screams, shocked at what just happened to one of her father's closest friends. Frankie curses as his idol's body hits the floor, too far away to do anything. Saturn does not show a single inch of upset or guilt at killing the world's greatest scientist. It was about time. Saturn's been talking about killing Vegapunk this whole arc, and he finally did it. Is Vegapunk gonna die now? Getting stabbed in one piece usually doesn't mean much, unless it's a flashback, but I wouldn't be surprised if he does die here. All his knowledge is in punk records, and Atlas is still around. A fuming Saturn then orders Kizaru to eliminate the group in the air, to kill all of them immediately. Kizaru, no longer hanging around, blitzes the fighters in the sky with light beam. Sanji and Frankie both take hits, covered in blood. Sanji blocks one of the beams, but is finally pierced by Kizaru too. Oh boy, the agenda piece is going to go wild with this one. It seems like in the hardcore fandom, Kizaru is more beloved than Sanji, which is honestly the way it should be. It's still showing that Sanji should be struggling against characters of Kizaru's stature. I'd love to see them go one-on-one, but it's not time for that yet. The Admiral gets close, a light sword in hand. He brings it up over his head with a two-handed grip, planning on a massive blow. Even while he prepares to kill his former friends, Kizaru tries to apologize, saying that he will kill the pair, Kuma and Bonnie, together with one shot, and it won't hurt. They'll be together in death. Bonnie is not going to thank him for that. But before Kizaru can land the attack, he hears a very familiar laugh. Before the Admiral can even turn around, Luffy comes in with a sneak attack from behind. A Gear 5 supersized, haki-infused punch is enough to knock Kizaru out of the air and stop the attack for now. Bonnie is bewildered at the sudden attack. As Luffy's hand starts stretching back to his body, Luffy is here now, still laughing and at full power. He then turns the ground to rubber with his awakened fruit powers, saving everyone who was falling. They touch down safely, Kuma cushioning Bonnie's fall. The drums of liberation are echoing over Egghead. It is time for some fun. Saturn stares at Luffy in silence, shook. He's shook because Luffy is the second coming of their Antichrist, Nika. I was hoping for some commentary here from Saturn about Nika, but I guess not yet. We see Kizaru sitting on the ground, holding his head after being punched by Luffy. Seems he's fine. Yeah, Luffy is probably stronger than Kizaru, but Kizaru is still strong, guys. Bonnie rushes to old Vegapunk's side, urging him to get up. We're going to die if we stay here. The old man has lost a lot of blood. Meanwhile, out in the scrapyard, the sound of the drums reaches the giant robot, and now its eyes are fully lit, and its motors are starting to hum. There is no question now. This ancient thing is awake, back on the battlefield. Bonnie just realized what that rhythm means. She thinks back to her conversations with Kuma about Nika, the times they danced together to that same beat, the Sun God's beat. Bonnie is silent, just looking into the sky. Vegapunk, tired and in pain, manages to confirm what she's seeing. So, you haven't realized, but I also wouldn't have believed it before witnessing it with my own eyes. That Straw Hat Luffy, the one that had Kuma's attention, turns out to be Sun God Nika himself. Bonnie is speechless. What? Vegapunk continues. Kuma was right. Buster Call? What good will that do? There are people in this world who have waited centuries for him. A Buster Call is a trivial matter to someone like Nika, and it is time for some of the Sun God's allies to show up. Cut to the northeast coast of Egghead Island. The Marines report that an unbelievably large ship is approaching. They recognize the Jolly Roger, most likely from history class, because they thought this crew had died 100 years ago. But here they are. The ship is not slowing down. It is plowing right towards the Marine warships, ready to just smash them to bits through sheer bulk. A panicking Marine commander orders his men to fire on the newcomers. But what could cannonballs hope to do against the giant warrior pirates? That's right, it's co-captains Dory and Brogy, and they are here to pick up Straw Hat Luffy. The Marines are yelling, "Fire, darn it! Why are the giant warrior pirates here?" And the giants give the best response. Brogy says, "Look at them, Dory." They're asking, "Why are we here?" And Dory replies, "What a stupid question. There's no coincidence in this world, right, Brogy?" Brogy then yells, "We're here for you, Straw Hat." And Dory finishes, "The Sun God." Oh my goodness, what a satisfying hype episode of One Piece. Every Buster Call has always included friendly giants. Between the pacifistas and the giants, the Marines are running out of ships for this Buster Call. And how did they know? Remember, the last time we saw them after Shanks took out Kid, Dorian and Brogy hit him with a layup and took out the rest of the Kid pirates. Mad that Kid even threatened to attack Elbaf in the first place. After that, they must have talked to Shanks, and Shanks was probably like, "Yeah, Luffy?" He awakened his devil fruit. He's Nika now. And they were like, "Nika? We all know him." Before, no one knew Nika. Now, everybody does. Joy Boy was probably a giant or a buccaneer, so it's understandable that the giants know him, but still, they could have realized it back on Little Garden. Oh, that rubbery quality is just like Nika's fruit, but I guess they needed the awakening confirmation. And now, this is going to be the bridge to Elbaf, the next big arc. We're gonna see Loki, the prince of Elbaf. Saul is probably there, the man marked by flames who can lead them to the final road Poneglyph. This is the final saga, people, and what a power-up for the Straw Hats. An army of giants, countless Buccaneer clones, and the legendary giant robot Egghead has just been one big power-up. But the biggest problem right now is still Vegapunk. Luffy promised Sentomaru he'd get the old man off the island. Now that he's so badly injured, it's going to be more difficult than ever. That's episode 1140, Bonnie's commanding clones, Luffy's gear fit, and the giants' arrival are pure fire, but Vegapunk's down bad. If this recap got you amped, smash that like button and comment 1141 below to spread it to more One Piece fans. It'll get the next one out quick. Subscribe to keep the hype alive, and I'll catch you next time.